Okay, so we're going to be looking at some of the vector drawing tools in Photoshop, and this document has sort of got background shapes to help you and guide you. So you're going to be working on the practice layer, and we're going to be using the ellipse tool here, and we'll set the fill to something that we can see. Let's just choose a red. Actually, let me rather put the fill to none and the stroke to red, and we'll put it at a 5-pixel stroke. Make sure it's on shape, and then we're just going to drag an ellipse. Okay, and it's going to make a new, okay, I shouldn't have made two. It makes a shape on that layer, and you can see it's now a shape layer because it has that little icon. So we want to transform this, so I'm going to switch to the path selection tool, right click and choose free transform path, and now I want to match this first ellipse here, so I'm going to rotate it, and you don't have to do this absolutely to the pixel, but just a general idea. Remember, if you hold shift you can distort it, and if you don't hold shift it changes proportionally. Okay, so now that we've got that one done, I'm going to hold down Alt and drag a copy. Whoops, okay, I don't want to take that. Hold down Alt. No, okay, let's just go back to the path selection tool. Okay, that's the mistake I made. So you're going to commit that transformation, go back to the path selection tool, hold down Alt and drag a copy like that. So you can see that these two shapes are part of the same shape layer, and they are interacting with each other in a particular way. They're adding to each other. So if I click away, you can see that they're making that sort of apple shape. So I don't want them to interact like that. I actually want them to intersect. So path selection tool, I'll select the layer first and then this path, and I'm going to go up here to my combine options, and I'm going to choose intersect, and now you can see they're actually making that shape in between where they overlap or intersect, which is what I want. Okay, I'm going to go back to the ellipse tool, and I'm going to make another ellipse here. Back to my path selection tool, right click, free transform path, and let's do this one. Holding shift. Okay, then press enter to accept, just say yes, and then Alt, drag a copy, right click, free transform path, and just make some adjustments here. Holding shift. Okay, so now these two actually can combine like that. That's exactly what I want. But now the last one here is going to subtract. So if I take the ellipse tool, and I draw an ellipse here, and direct selection tool, path selection tool, and then transform, and let's just make a minor change here. Okay, so it's not perfectly matching these, but it's good enough. So what you can see is some of my paths are on the same layer and some are not. So in order for me to make this one shape and interact with each other, I need them all to be one layer, one shape layer. So I'm going to select all three layers. You might have more or fewer layers, but you select all the shape layers, right click, and go down to merge shapes. Okay, so now they are all shapes in the same layer. So with the path selection tool, I now want to select this path and change the combine to subtract. Alright, so now I have that sort of apple shape, kind of like the Apple logo. So the next thing I'm going to do is select all the paths and can go to combine and choose merge shape components and say yes. And so now this is one shape. It's not a whole combination of individual shapes. And I just want to finish off the editing by going to my direct selection tool, clicking on this point here, and I just want to move it up a little bit with my arrow key and just straighten out these handles so that it's more convincingly an apple. And the same at the bottom. Select that bottom point, move it down a tiny bit, and straighten out those direction handles. Okay, back to my path selection tool. Okay, so now I've got my shape that I want, so I'm going to select the whole shape, and I'm going to go to edit, define custom shape. I'll just call it my Apple logo. Okay, so that's now a custom shape that I've created using various vector drawing tools. So if I switch to an image and I go make a new layer, and I take my shape tools and I go all the way down to custom shape tool, and then I go here to the shape and I go all the way down to the bottom. There's my custom shape. I'm going to choose it. I'm going to set the fill to none, and I'll set the stroke to white, and let's put it up to 20 pixels. Okay, and then if I hold down shift while I drag out, it gives me that result. So I'm just going to change the blending mode of that layer to overlay. And so that's how you work with shapes in Photoshop, combining them with images.
I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and see you next time.